the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
I'm very, very curious how the wide receiver room unfolds. Maybe it's a spring battle for Thornton and Brazel, where whoever wins out in the spring, and it's clear that they're going to be the other starting wide receiver opposite of Brew on the outside. Maybe the person who loses that battle, then they leave in the spring portal window. Maybe that's how it unfolds there, just to at least give a full off season here to see how it goes between the two of them, because they have such a similar skill set, and you're not going to play a whole lot barring injury, and Tennessee dealt with a lot of injuries at that spot obviously this past year. So that is something weird that maybe helps this room, is that look, injuries happen and they can show, hey, like, we like these guys, he might be ahead of you right now, but things happen. This football is a violent sport, and you could easily step right in, steal the job, do great, and never look back. Because if you do prove it, they will ride these receivers long term. So I think that's a positive. We talked about the portal. Where else should the Vols target in the portal to you, Eric? Where do you think they haven't hit that you're like, And why is it safety?
Yeah, so you look at safety, man. You got Andre Turrentine that I think you're feeling pretty good about. He was not great. He wasn't bad, and made that play in the Iowa game, and thought he did some good things against Georgia, ironically, with Georgia and how good it is. But you got Andre Turrentine coming back. Man, I'd love to say John Slaughter is a guy you can count on, but we saw him play 4 snaps.
Which was your favorite of the 4?
Say what?
Which was your favorite of the 4 snaps that he played? There's a lot.
I don't even remember. It was a flash in the pan, man. 4 snaps and a 35-0 win in the I keep want to say Iron Bowl. 35-0 win in the Citrus Bowl, which is ridiculous, man. But they love John Slaughter, and but we just, as reporters and fans, we don't know what to expect because we haven't really seen him play. So you got him, and you got Jordan Thomas, who's probably going to play at the star, but he can play safety as well. You need to attack safety, to your point. You need to go and find another safety, in my opinion. You did with Jacoby Thomas. Jamal McCoy's a corner that I think is going to play a lot, and I like his upside. So going and looking at the defensive back, but man, I would offensive line, depending on if a tackle leaves this week, probably need to go get a tackle. But right now it's all guard. Need to go in and find a guard. You need to go and find a guy like an Andre Carrick, who came in and, was a body and, started the first couple of games of the year, but really at a position to where there was a hole and there wasn't a whole lot of bodies. Need to go in and find a guard. And so I would be pinpointing safety. I'd be pinpointing guard. And you already took tight end, of course. It would be great to add another tight end just because you need those bodies, but you don't want to run anybody off, You don't want to make Ethan Davis mad. So I would say safety and guard is still where I would be evaluating to try to add to this team.
I'm very curious if Boo plays right away, because I think Boo is like one of those guys, because you had to hold on and fight for so long at the end, especially at Colorado and Michigan early. My gut tells me he's going to have to play. Like, Boo is like the linchpin of a lot of this stuff, that Boo is just going to, because you're so thin there, that's the one where Tim Banks, because he's coaching safeties, he's going to have to play the young guys. Like John Slaughter, we know is going to, barring injury, will be one of the starters in the back end. And I don't worry about Turrentine. Like, anyone who looks at that, Wesley Walker, 3-star transfer in from Tech. I don't think any Tennessee fan thought he would be an just playing unbelievable amount of snaps and also being like the PFF best graded DB for Tennessee last year. Yeah. Like, no one saw that, and he became like a consistent player. Like, he deserves credit. Like, Jalen McCullough had a good year, so it's not like we're against the results. It's just more of like, hey man, those bodies are going to be out the door, and you're just, I don't know. Like, Britt and I were talking about it I think last week, but I just think there's a path to the Tennessee back 3 between Thomas, the 2 Thomases, and a totally new fresh face, John Slaughter, who did not play at all at the other spot, where the back end for Tennessee is could be the worst in the Heupel era. Like, it just because of inexperience, because it's a big move up for the MTSU kid. Jordan Thomas, we'll see if he can stay healthy for a full year. Like, Christian Charles, obviously never been able to stay healthy in that spot. Danico's out the building. I don't know. It really worries me. I would feel a lot better if they added another portal safety, and I don't know who that is, but I think it's just something I've penciled in of, like, Tennessee fans, just get ready, because this is something to monitor the next fall.
Well, it's funny because for the last 3 years, not all fans, but a lot of fans
Yeah.
have been, calling for Tim Banks' job, calling for Willie Martinez's job, and, saying the secondary is awful and the secondary is terrible and bench them all and start over. Well, here you are. I mean, you are starting completely over. Slaughter gone, Haddon out of eligibility, Turnage gone, Warren Burrell gone,
McCullough gone.
McCullough graduated, Walker gone, McDonald gone. I mean, you are starting completely over. And so, a lot of that I think is a good thing, because I think some of these younger guys are more athletic, quicker. They just lack experience. And there's a lot of coaches, these two coaches and Tim Banks and Willie Martinez in particular, love what they know.
Yeah.
And that's why McCullough and Walker and McDonald and these guys played so many snaps, because they knew where they were going to be. They knew their deficiencies, but they knew they were going to be in position every single time usually. And so that, really kind of had a downfall effect for John Slaughter, who might be better athletically, but he might not know the entire playbook right now, or might not be as comfortable in the scheme right now because he's a true freshman. So you go with what you know. And so anyway, man, I'm intrigued. I think that's obviously the biggest storyline outside of Nico going into the season. Brand new defensive secondary. Who's going to be where? You like Ricky Gibson a lot. Who's going to play the other corner? Who's going to be those two safeties? Is Jordan Thomas healthy? If not, what's your backup plan? And I think it's worth noting too, that group has gotten better and better and better every year. They're not world beaters, the defensive secondary, but they've gotten a whole lot better in 3 years with Tim Banks, Willie Martinez.
A lot of the same dudes, though. They didn't move on. It was that same group of guys. Like T-Mac was around, Wesley Walker obviously for 2 years, McCullough the whole time. Like, it was guys that were there for a while, and you didn't have that turnover.
Yeah.
Now you just have fresh faces. I would just be very surprised, and this is how we can end it here, Eric. Which freshman of the 2023 class?
Go. Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.